Everyone's bodies are changing, and then you come up with a WKD. What happened? I had 2 cans of Strongbone 24 custard creams last night. We're just a couple of business anchors. Welcome to the Business Anchors podcast. This jingle is slightly too long. Welcome to part 2 of the Business Anchors podcast. Dan, have you ever been involved in an intro before?
No, I did it once.
Did you enjoy that?
Thanks, Lloyd.
Did you enjoy that?
Am I a good boy?
Yeah, it's nice to give you a little treat.
Keep patronising ourselves.
Get you involved in the intro. Maybe soon you can get involved in some of the organisation of the podcast.
Thank you.
When you're a big boy, when you're an adult. So, talking about that, Dan, what's the best age to start a podcast?
The best age? There's no best age to start a podcast.
Ooh, this will be a short episode then.
Next.
Okay.
No, it's not. I don't think it's about age. I think it's about when you want to do it.
I agree. I do like that podcasting is quite... you can get into it fairly cheaply. Like anyone can do it.
Yeah. You can tell you're doing it.
Banter.
But I also think you don't want to fall into the trap of, like, when I speak to a lot of people now who we want to start a podcast, and it's like, why? What for? Are you going to be good at it? Are you interesting to listen to?
I think that's the...
Will you enjoy it?
That's the only thing. I think where it is so accessible, it's sometimes kind of like, why are you doing this?
There are so many shit podcasts.
Yeah.
You're listening to one of them.
Oh, great minds.
But I also... I think I'm trying to give reasons as to why this podcast shit. No, but we enjoy doing it, don't we?
Yeah. It's fine that it's rubbish.
Actually, no. We've got we said this was a test, the podcast thing. It works.
Yeah, we've had a couple of clients now.
That
have found us through the podcast for our business.
And they actually said we've started listening to the podcast and now we've become clients. So if you're listening and you haven't got in touch yet, look, you do the advert for our business.
Yeah. If you're listening and you haven't got in touch yet, this is an advert for our business. Here at Knowlton Marketing, we produce creative video marketing campaigns with a trackable ROI. Get in touch now. Click on Dan's... No, that won't work. Email us. But it is interesting. Obviously, this is episode 15, so we have invested a lot of time into this, and we invested money into the gear and stuff to record it.
And all
But I'm happy to say, anyone listening thinking of starting a podcast, like we said before, don't just start a rubbish one with no strategy on why you want to start it if you're not going to enjoy it. But do
you know?
It's worked. Yeah.
This isn't on topic, but I just, as we're on it, why do you think this has helped us convert clients, like significant clients?
I think the main thing is this podcast has been the most transparent thing we've ever done, that's allowed people that don't know us to see exactly the sort of people we are.
And you want to work with people who...
So we've attracted the sort of people that we'd work well with. That's my thing.
That's a good point.
Because I think when you're a more corporate business that you never put yourself out there, even, you don't put content on social media, you're just a website.
Yeah.
I think it's very hard for people to know if they're going to have a good experience to work with you, if they're going to actually get on with you and you have similar values and that kind of thing. Whereas if you listen to someone talking for an hour and a half every week or so, you can kind of get to know them quite well. And if you do think it would be a good...
I think this is the most kind of chatty thing we've done compared to we fell into a trap quite a while ago of just doing talking to camera pieces where it is quite, and I think sometimes I used to go into the hi, watch his video presenter mode, and it kind of comes across as something that
it's hard because there's value in those things, like educational videos on social media and on YouTube and stuff. There is value to that, but like you said, it is more of a performance, so you don't necessarily get to know the person delivering the stuff.
But anyway, sorry, that was off topic. I just thought,
conversation. So as we're on the Business Anchors podcast, and in part 1, don't even know if we mentioned business. What do you think the best age to start a business is, Dan?
I think again, I'll reflect on if I was giving myself advice. I wish. Well, I don't want to wish my life away, but I wish I would have earlier on just done something and worked towards it. I think we used to sell like knockoff Lacoste polos and stuff from eBay, but I wish I would have just found something that I really enjoyed and liked, and sort of thought, oh, I'll just try and set up a little website, even if it was like a Wix website or something, or a.
Because I think it's not in my eyes, I completely agree, but it's not necessarily about making a successful business when you're 17.
It's everything you learn from doing that.
Yeah, it's like if you did that, you would have learned how to build a website when you're 17.
And I reckon you get a wicked job by showing. If someone came here and said, I'm 17 and I've set this website up and I've started this whole thing, it's like, wow, you've got some initiative.
Yeah. Because even if the website's rubbish, you think, well, if you're learning that at 17, by the time you're 24, think of what you're going to be doing. And
what do you think is the best age to?
I would agree. I think as soon as you can. I actually think what's hard about starting your own business, which I was kind of on the cusp of when we started our business, is it's much harder to commit when you've got responsibilities. So I think starting a business either while you're at university or when you've just finished school and you've got a part-time job, it's an ideal time. Whereas if you've got mortgage to pay, gas bills that you haven't compared, so they're quite expensive, because you haven't been on Look After My Bills or You Switch, and you've got children and partners and stuff to worry about financially, I think it's much harder to a bigger decision. So I would say as early as you can.
Start your business now.
Yeah.
Do you think age has an impact on getting a job in an interview? If a 70-year-old who was just as experienced as a 15-year-old came in for a job role, would you be ageist?
I think there's. So I want to be completely honest. I think we all have biases that we're sometimes not even aware of. And I think the reason why it can be hard for older people to get employment sometimes is because, so us as business owners, we're hiring people and we know that people will move on, but we're hoping we're hiring people for as long as possible and we have a good relationship and we all get what we want out of it.
And probably retire.
So if a 70-year-old went for a job, I guess for someone, for planning the future, you're thinking,
how long have you got, mate?
How long are you going to be still working? So I do think that would be...
What about a 15-year-old though? Hello, I'm a 15-year-old.
I think in the right role, I don't think it'd be a negative thing. If there's...
Is it legal to hire a 15-year-old?
Well, not full-time because they have to be at school.
Oh, yeah.
But what I do think there's a thing of age, because obviously we have a culture in the business, and every business does. And I think you kind of attract people that have similarities to you and similar values and similar, and probably our employees will get scared if I say they're similar to me. But
don't say that.
But I guess you do kind of attract people that are more similar to you, and I don't know, it's hard. But I also think we've got a range of like close to 10 years in ages just between our small teams, so I don't know.
Do you think age has a positive or negative impact on how much of a positive impact you have on the world?
Oh, there's lots of words there. Positive or negative impact. Can you repeat that question, please, sir?
Do you think your age?
Yep.
What impact does age have on how much of a positive impact you can have on the world?
Oh, I'm still struggling to understand this question. So are you saying if you want to have a positive impact on the world, does it matter how old you are?
Yeah.
I would say no.
Cool. What questions you got?
The person that has the biggest impact on the world that I know, I think is in her 60s.
Is it Michelle Obama?
No.
Because you read her book once.
No, it's just a lady that I know. But and I also, there's really young people starting charities and stuff, and yeah. So I don't think it does. I hope this is, some people say you shouldn't look at it like this, but I would like to think that because we're working very hard now, we'll be able to focus on other things at a fairly young age, And I'd be really interested in like starting a charity or something. So hopefully I don't get too old for that.
Do you do charity work then, or? You should never mention that.
That's a bit of a business anchor's regular joke there, isn't it? Yeah. So no.
Cool.
Do you want to hear a question for
Go
you?
on.
What's the best age to have children?
I'd say, well, again, you can't go, you don't know until it happens, but I'd say, personally, I wouldn't want to have them really young because you want to experience your youth. Because you don't want to, well, in my mind, you'd miss all of that if you had a baby really young. And then you'd be trying to relive that when you're 40 and you haven't got as much energy. But there's people who are doing that and they're probably going to hate me. But this is just my perspective. What would you say, Lloyd?
I would say it's everyone's choice what age they want to have a baby.
Shut up.
I'm not going to be judgmental of people.
That's not judgmental, it's just my personal opinion.
I know, I'm joking. I do think, because out of my group of friends, I had our child earlier than all of them. But I was 26, so still, I don't think that's well. I don't know. Would you say that's young or old?
I think when people are having children older ages now, like you said, whereas our parents. How old was mum and dad when they had?
26 when they had me, which was fairly late for their generation.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Fun fact: Linda was 26 when she gave birth to Lloyd.
What else you got?
What's the best age to manage people? When do you think you'd be best at that skill?
I've actually got a bit of a story.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know you were going to ask that. But to back up so I think, not necessarily age, but experience. Basically, when I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, I worked really hard and I got promoted really quickly. And the girl that trained me, I got promoted above her within like 8 months. But I think I was promoted too quickly. So I was trying to manage her when I didn't exactly know what I was doing properly. And I think it was difficult to get respect from people who you've sort of overtaken when they trained you, which kind of makes sense because it's sort of like...
You think, well, what do you know? I taught you everything you know.
Yeah. So I kind of think you need a certain amount of experience, which tends to come with age, but I don't know. I think it would be difficult to be a 15-year-old trying to manage a team and get respect, I think. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think it'd be challenging.
I agree. In my previous role, I had a weird job where for 10 months of the year, I would manage 1 or 2 people. And then for 2 months of the year, I would manage about 80, something like that. And I think, again, like you said, I was too young to manage.
I think you did a good job, though.
Well, no, looking back, I don't think... I think, obviously, I'd like to think I did an okay job, but I wasn't ready to manage people like that, I don't think.
Is this when you just had, like, a life breakdown because you were working from 6 in the morning till 11 at night and then just drinking vodka all night?
No, that was a couple of years before that. And I had to manage, like, 15 people. But yeah, that was hard. But yeah, like that part of the job as well, I wasn't ready for it. I think I was too young, and also I was the same age or younger than most of the people I was managing, and that there was a challenge there because I know it shouldn't be, but some people think I'm not going to have someone younger than me tell me what to do, and that doesn't really make sense unless they're a child. But as we were saying, I was like 22. Was I a child? Maybe I was. Yeah, cool. Interesting. What's the best age to wear swim shorts and not Speedos? Because I feel when you're a kid, you wear trunks.
Trunk Speedos?
Yeah.
Right.
There seems to be an age.
But then it switches again.
Oh, yeah.
Dad used to
the
wear
lifespan of swimwear. So, yeah, it seems you're a little kid running around in trunks, little pants. Then you wear swim shorts. And then there seems to be an age you get in your adult life when you think the world needs to see what I'm working with.
There's a company.
I need to put some Speedos on.
Have you heard of Budgie Smugglers, the company? There's actually a company called that. James Smith, the PT guy, he always wears trunks. Yeah.
Oh. So what age? What age should you wear? Should you transition from Speedos into
everyone
shorts?
can do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
But I think probably when you're starting to get a bit of a teenager, rolling around in trunks, you'd probably get
a bit
picked
self-conscious.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's bodies are changing, and you I prefer not to flaunt everything. Yeah.
Reminds me of that book that Mum showed you.
Oh,
embarrassing.
Yeah. Mum and Dad gave me a book about puberty, so I understand. The section about embarrassing erections was very interesting.
Sometimes when you're on the bus,
from buses can make you slightly aroused. This is completely natural. I'm reading it on a book on a bus with everyone staring at me. Great. Okay, good. That's good to know.
We'll just ride the bus around every weekend.
Going back to the Speedos thing, this is a bit off topic.
Yeah.
But when I was like 18, we went to a campsite and in France, went there in our swim shorts, went down the slides in the pool and stuff. Great. Went there the next year and they'd made the pool bigger and put a bigger slide in. We thought, oh, great. All went up there and then lifeguard blew us all. Stop. No shorts. And what? Why can't we wear shorts? You have to wear Speedos.
Yeah. He didn't work there, was just a random bloke.
And we said, oh, why? We were here last year.
I like it.
We were here last year and you could wear shorts. And his response is, now the pool is bigger. I've never worked out the logic of that.
Well, do you not get it?
No. Well, the pool is bigger, so I have to show off my package.
Heard that before?
No, I haven't.
That's a thing in France.
Okay. Finally,
Yeah.
what's the best age to retire?
I was gonna say as young as possible, but then I guess when you feel like you're not enjoying what you're doing anymore, but you're in a position to live the life that you want to live. Because you could be in a job that you don't like at like 22, but you can't go, all right, I'll retire, because you're not set up for.
Well, you say that. I think people could live a very basic life.
What, retiring at 22? Where's the money coming from for the rest of your life?
If you worked hard from 18 to 22 and then
saved up how much?
And then you lived in a tent for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But you see, not on that scale maybe.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like, I could retire now and think I need to grow all my own food and live in a tent.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go that far.
You do want to do that?
I would. Sarah won't let me. I've just
he doesn't get used to this podcast.
Yeah, sorry.
Punching the microphone.
But yeah, so I think you're right. Any age, when you have the funds to make the decision and you think, I am happy to live that lifestyle. Some people need loads of money because they think they want to live an affluent lifestyle, so they retire later because they really. And so obviously sometimes it's just a necessity.
I don't think I'd want to just retire and stop though. I don't know. You need to. I want to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll see. We'll listen back to this one day. And
are we going to find out what ages we did stuff now?
Yeah. Do you want to go first or shall I?
How are we going to do this?
Should we take it in turns?
Should we just say what age was I when I?
Okay, so everybody, we're about to play the game show that's known as What Age Was I When I Last... Boop.
Okay.
Sorry for beeping, Lauren. I think I mucked up the audio there. I'll stop beeping. So Danny, you ready to play What Age Was I When I Last...
Boop. Ready.
Okay. You can go first.
When I last, or when I first, or when I...
Oh. Dan's mucked up the game show, but you can adapt it to work for you.
Got into a club.
Well, first, last.
What age was I when I got into a club?
The first time?
Yeah. The first time.
14, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because I remember getting in when I was like 17 thinking, this is great. Dan's at home in bed. And then you come up with a WKD. It's like, aren't you supposed to be sleeping over at Jake's house and watching Chicken Run? Cool. What age was I when I first got into a nightclub?
17.
No, 16. Tricked you there, didn't I?
Was that? Oh, yeah, cool. What age was I when I first went on a lad's holiday?
17.
16, Zantio 09.
Oh, Zantio 9.
You went younger. Mum and Dad let you go when you were like 11.
Mum and Dad always talk about this. So, we can't believe we let you do that. I was 15 and I went on, only to Newquay, but that is 8 hours away.
Is that when you... Oh, please, there's a couple of good stories about Newquay. Just quickly.
So Mum and Dad, great decision to let me go. It's the first time I drank alcohol. So I was the youngest in the group. I was 15. They were all 16 or 17.
But you had a soft tash.
But I had a little soft tash, so I looked the oldest. So I went into Summerfield, because that still existed, picked up a crate of Strongbow, 18 Strongbow, £9.99, bargain. Went up to the tills, saw a guy, plonked it next to him with a tenner on top, went, "Can you buy me that?" And I was very surprised when he went, "Yeah, right." So I walked outside. Oh my God! Yeah, he's buying us. He's buying us booze, guys. And quickly found out why he was so keen to buy children beers or ciders, because he came out, gave me Strongbow, "Do you want some gear?" And I was like, "What? Sorry? Do you want some gear?" Oh, drugs. No. I've never even drunk a can of Strongbow before. This will be my first time, so I think a bit early to start on the hard drugs. So I coincidentally got a drug dealer to buy me Strongbows.
Also, didn't you and your mates used to buy? This is Lloyd's mates are just the in-betweeners. I know a few of you are listening, but you are. That you used to buy packs of custard creams because you didn't like the taste of beer. You used to have a sip and then quickly eat a custard cream to get the flavour.
We bought these huge packs.
That is the in-between.
We'd have like 2 sips of Strongbow. Oh God, custard cream. Oh, that's better.
And Lloyd doesn't know why he put on weight.
Yeah. I don't know. I started putting on weight when I was 15. Maybe it's the biscuit for every sip of drink. Yeah, that was good. And that crate of 18. So there was, I think in our room there was 5 of us, and that crate of 18 Strongbows lasted us 2 nights between the 5 of us.
And you were off your head.
And it was the kind of nights where we all were waking up going, "What happened?"
So
I had 2 cans of Strongbow and 24 custard creams last night. Yeah.
How did you get?
That's very early to go on.
Yeah.
That was because James's mum's a bit of a hippie, and she's like, "Let them. They need to be free. They need to have open hearts."
Yeah.
Mum and Dad were kind of like, "Okay." Okay.
What age were you when you bought your first car?
31. 30. Sorry, 30.
Because you used Mum's for years.
I used Mum's. I used Sarah's.
Mine.
I used yours, and then eventually at 30, I thought I should probably buy my own car. But that's because I'm not bothered about cars, so it was a necessity rather than a thing. Oh, I'm going to buy a car.
Yeah.
What age was I when I lost my last baby tooth? You know, your first teeth, your milk teeth.
Oh, you had a weird one that poked out, didn't you, for years?
Oh, he knows the answer.
23?
No, not that old.
Oh.
I was 17. I had one tooth that like grew behind it, so I just had a double. I was like a shark, and it just wobbled at the front of my mouth.
You're wondering why the girls didn't like you at school, like?
Yeah, give me a kiss. Your tooth is poking out of your lip. Cool.
What age was I when I got my first job?
You must have been 13 in the paper.
I thought I put 15. I thought that was I younger.
13. Yeah.
Okay.
Glad I can answer these for you.
Cool.
How old was I when I last got told off by Mum?
Oh, recently. She tells you off all the time.
Yeah.
She gets worried about you.
Yeah. Veganuary.
Oh, yeah.
That was vegan.
Lloyd, how are you going to survive?
Lloyd, I'm worried about you. What if you lose too much weight? Not an issue at the moment, Mum. Don't worry. How old was I when I last got told off by Dad?
Recently as well?
Yeah, a couple of days ago. Tells me off all the time.
What age was I when I passed my driving test first time?
17, I assume.
Yeah. You? How many times did it take you?
3.
No, it wasn't. It was more than that, wasn't it?
No, it's 3.
Oh, okay.
How old was I when I last ran away from a bull in a bull ring?
You were 22 in Spain, travelling. Was it actually 22?
That's impressive. I think so. Maybe 21, maybe 22.
Yeah, so you were just supporting animal cruelty, weren't you?
Yeah, I look back at that and think, why was I involved in that? But at the same time, near-death experience was quite exciting. But wouldn't do it again.
Cool.
Is that enough of that?
Yeah, that's enough of that.
Cool. So before we go on to the next bit, really professional podcast here. We're just going to remind you, we'd love you to leave a review with the words "tip run," and if you do, we'll be happy. So please do that. And By the way, this week, although I've really enjoyed this episode, we were struggling to think of topics to speak about. If you've got any suggestions that you'd like to hear us talk about, please let us know. DM us or comment on social media.
Or do smoke signals or send a pigeon or something.
Yeah, anything, literally anything you
just
want to do.
Just shout what you want us to do.
Morse code, torch through my bedroom window. Anything you want.
Throw rocks at Lloyd's window.
Yeah. Please don't.
I've got some questions I actually want to know the answer.
Cool.
As for this final part,
Mm-hmm.
how old do you feel in your mind?
I think this is a cliche thing, but I feel the same as I always.
So you feel like an infant?
I feel like a little boy. No, I still feel the same. Well, actually, no. I probably feel the same as I did when I was like 22. So 22.
Okay, cool.
Apart from my body creaking when it moves, as we discussed. How old do you feel?
16, I think. I still feel.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you sometimes go to watch an 18 film and think, oh, I can't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I watched, Mum snuck me in to watch Planet of the Apes and I cried all night and she felt really bad.
It was a 12, and that was before we had 12As, because now you can bring under 12s, can't you?
Yeah,
that's a 12 film.
You take.
Mum was like sweating, panicking. The police were going to come. Excuse me, we found out your son's date of birth and he's 11 and a half.
Do you feel like your life has got better or worse with age?
Oh, that's a hard question, because I think to say it's got worse sounds horrible.
But you had you loved being a kid, didn't you?
But yeah, I in my eyes, childhood. Well, obviously, very lucky to have such a lovely childhood. But I think as an adult, my life's continuously getting better. When I turned an adult, and I'm really happy and content and love my life. But I think as a child, having no responsibilities and you're just doing what you want. All you're thinking about is, what shall I do that will be fun or make my life is interesting.
I definitely think you've got more pressure on you though to adhere to social norms, and I remember a stage I think it was like year 11 or something. One day I just woke up and I stopped caring what people thought of me. I think. Oh well, no, of course that's a lie. Of course you still care what people think of you, but it doesn't take such a prominent
that kind of peer pressure
fact
of
in your life.
If that person says I should do that, I feel I've got this pressure.
I just sort of thought in my head, why does it matter if I don't do that or people think that?
Yeah, I do think that. And I think people, again, even as children, I think people feel different pressures. Like I know Sarah got quite stressed out at school because she felt stressed about doing well and getting good grades, which I think a lot of people.
Whereas you were the opposite.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just having a great time, so it doesn't matter. But I'm gonna try with my boy to not put too much pressure, because I think looking back, we all kind of look at school and go, of course you don't want to just be an idiot and not do anything, but it's not going to completely ruin your life if you don't get really stressed about your exams, and you can just be relaxed and do the best you can. But I think it's easy to say. I think different personality types, you can still have that. But yeah, so I'd say it's worse since my childhood, because it's brilliant, good. But getting... What about you?
I think it's got better.
Good.
I think it's got better.
Good.
I think I enjoyed my childhood, but I think as I've matured, I've become a nicer person, and I'm thinking of more
that's
other
deep.
people and stuff.
Oh, nice.
If you go back to yourself when you were younger and give advice, well, knowing what you know now, what would it be?
I'd probably say, when you're 30 and you go to Spain, make sure you take some diarrhea tablets.
Oh no, that story is horrible.
That's probably one of the main things I'd say. Oh,
can you stop?
Punch the microphone again. But also, I think I'd reassure myself and say, I know all your teachers are saying, he's got so much potential, he needs to try hard. I know your parents are literally trying to pay you to get good grades at school, but it's okay. Do your own thing. It'll be all right.
It'll all work out.
Yeah. I think probably I'd reassure myself. The time when I was like at university, when I think probably that's one of my most stressful times, because I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I felt, at that point, I felt under pressure of like, I need to sort myself out. What do I do?
But knowing your personality type, if you told yourself then Don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be alright. You'd be even more worry less and probably wouldn't be.
I
where you are
literally
now.
just leave uni. Just be like, okay, great, right. Well, I'll just have loads more pizza and vodka until I'm 40 stone, and then it'll all be all right. Yeah. I
That'd
probably
be terrible
yeah
for you.
yeah.
You should actually say it's not gonna be alright unless you change what you're doing.
Nothing's gonna be all right. Yeah. So I think it'd be a bad thing for me to be able to give myself.
Yeah.
What would you say, Dan?
What would I say? I think I'd say. When I was younger, I think I'd say about being more kind to other people and. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think I was a very nice child.
I know. I do think you're too harsh on yourself there. I think you've got this thing of you being this horrible child, but you weren't. You did think about yourself more than you do now. It's not like you were this devil child.
No.
Yeah. I think.
But I think I'd say just be nice to people. You don't know what's going on in their life.
Oh, nice. So to end, Dan, this isn't one I thought of before, but what would you say to yourself the day you started this business?
What would I say to myself? Be patient.
That logo's rubbish, but don't worry, we'll change it.
You know that logo that you made in your pants that you didn't know what you was doing? I'd say be patient, I think. I mean, we've had moments in this business where we sort of say, look what, like pivotal moments of growing and stuff, and we've sort of said, would you look back a year ago and thought we would be winning that client and, doing the project that big and stuff? You just wouldn't, would you? No. Like, even like 2 years ago, I don't think we'd... Well, actually, no, 2 years ago. When did we do the 2030 plan? I think
just under 2 years ago.
Just under 2 years ago. I think pre us actually sitting down and planning what on earth's going on over the next 10 years, you couldn't even imagine we'd be a team here and doing the stuff we're doing.
I think you're right.
What about you?
I think it doesn't happen overnight, does it? And you do think... You see things like, oh, this guy started Uber, and then 2 years later it was worth
gazillion pounds.
Yeah, and you think like, oh, why is my business not growing? And it's like, the reality is that 99% of business, 99.9% of businesses.
Also, I think it would be enjoy the journey as well, which sounds well cliche saying it actually, but
I'm doing that much more now. I think
because do you know what I'm actually not concerned about, but I actually really want to think about when we do achieve our 2030 plan, because I'm confident we will. I want something else to do. Yeah. I want to be having a plan for the next 10 years. Cause
do you know what we could call that?
What?
2040 plan.
No.
Thought that myself. I'm the creative side of the business.
But I just don't. Yeah, I just don't want to. I think the fun bit is doing this, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about you? What would you say?
I'd probably just give myself more bad advice though, wouldn't I?
Don't worry, it's going to be fine, and then you wouldn't try again.
I'd probably reassure myself. I'd say...
You need to try really hard.
Do you know what I'd say? It's going to be hard work. It'll be worth it. Also, how do I say this? Like, I'm struggling for words, which is terrible for a podcast. I know what I'm thinking.
Do you want to just explain?
I'd say be more forceful with your opinions with Dad and Dan in the business, because there's quite a few things that I've been really keen to do, and then I've backed down when
we're basically holding you back.
Dad
aren't we,
disagreed with me, and then 2 years later we do it, and that would have been great if we did it 2 years ago.
Are you going to start an agency called Lloyd?
Yeah,
and just
yeah. If anyone's interested, any current clients thinking I love working with them, but not Dan. That's a bit awkward. But yeah, no, honestly, Dan, and that's not a thing against you or Dad, but early on, I think I believed much more in you and Dad's opinion rather than my own. Yeah. So I backed down quicker when actually sometimes it would have been better for me to stick to my guns. And
I also think there's some things where you backing down has been a good thing as well.
Cool. So the advice to myself would be, don't back down. Except back down on those things, but don't back down.
Interesting. If you're listening, what advice would you give your younger self?
Yeah, I do think that's interesting. On the first day of your business, what would you say? I think I need more time to think about it.
You've got to be careful, because you think whatever you say is going to have an impact. So even you thinking you'd saying, oh yeah, you're going to be all right, that would actually change your behaviour, and then you probably wouldn't be the millionaire you are now.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Just realised what you said. One day we can be a millionaire.
2030, mate. I mean, that's
Right. We hope you've enjoyed this epic two-parter. I've really enjoyed this episode. I thought it's been really interesting to speak about we're just so interesting. It's not. Yeah, I know. It's so.
Why are we not number one on the
so
interesting
weird,
category?
Yeah, it hasn't been as businessy this episode as some of them.
I don't think any of them are.
But yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Right, let's do a good ending because we're really crap at endings.
Okay. Thank you for listening, everyone, to the Business Anchors podcast. Please leave us a review with the words tip run. We'd love to have your review. It helps us grow. And other than that, we'll see you next week. Was that the end? Oh, I've ruined it.
We said next week at the same time. That was good.
Okay.